Hello, 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 and welcome back to Life After 55, where we talk about healing, hope, and holding on to joy one day at a time. Today, we're starting something special, something that I haven't done so far on these 10 or so episodes that I've done. That what we're going to do today should interest not just the women watching this, but a lot of the men will be watching this too. This is the first part of a two-part mini series on aging. Now, again, this is the first two-parter that I've done, so I'm pretty psyched about that. There's also other stuff too, but I'll get to that in a minute. Okay? All right. So, let me start. Well, first of all, let me get my picture out of here so you can see what that says. There we go. Let me start by asking you something that, I'm sure a lot of people kind of have had this question or thought or whatever. But have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, yeah, I feel fine, but why do I look like I'm aging so quickly? Well, if you've ever had that thought or whatever, you aren't the only one. And it's not just about the wrinkles or the gray hair. This is about what's happening deep inside your body that affects how you look, how you feel, and how you function as the years go by. I'm Roy. Let me get me back on here. So you've seen the thing, the picture there. So I'll get back on here. I'm Roy, and today we're diving into something that I think a lot of us have wondered. Why am I aging so fast? But before we get into that, I want to share something exciting in the works. Now, this is something I've been working on, and it may or may not fly, but I'm pretty psyched about it. So, let's go. Here it is. Okay, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be launching a fun, affordable monthly membership on our new website. Now, you'll get 2 exclusive videos every single month, a healing and holistic wellness newsletter, which will also include recipes, healthy recipes, at least one every month in that newsletter, and a special new segment. Now, this is the part that I'm pumped about, called Road Trip with, you guessed it, Road Trip with Roy. That's right. We're going to hit the road together, virtually, of course, and we're going to visit amazing places like the Wright Brothers Memorial, the Biltmore Estate, the Nag's Head Lighthouse, and all this is going to be in the comfort of your own home. A lot of people, I think a lot of the people that watch this channel are kind of, what do they call that? When you can't leave your house. I can't think of the name right now, but what the heck? Oh, a shut-in. That's it. A lot of people, I think, are shut-ins. They can't go out because, they have bad legs, bad knees, but whatever the case might be, whatever. But this is something that whether you're feeling down, stuck inside on a rainy day, or you just want to explore something new, you'll be able to watch anytime solo or with your family and grandkids for that matter. So I'm pretty psyched about that. And I think, by going to places and filming it and showing people that can't go and visit these places, a lot of people would like to travel and can't. And I'm still blessed enough to be able to do that. So that's kind of the idea behind it. And again, there is going to be a membership fee. It won't be exorbitant or anything like that, but the membership fee is mainly to cover, the expenses of the newsletter, gathering up the research, the materials for the newsletter, figuring out where we're going and actually going. These are going to be road trips probably in the Carolinas and, into Virginia and maybe Tennessee or whatever. So, I think there's a lot of, historical places around here, a lot of places that people have never seen. And again, I'm not far from the beach. There's a lot of nice beaches around here, so we can go there. And I'd be open to suggestions, as far as that goes. But anyways, that's something I'm pretty psyched about, and I'm hoping that that'll work out and people will be into it, and we'll get this thing rolling, and hopefully it'll give people something to do, on a rainy day, snowy day, whatever. Okay? And again, this community is growing, and I would love for each and every one of you to be a part of the next chapter. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, because the sooner we hit 1,000 subscribers, the sooner this journey is going to begin. Okay? All right. So, what really speeds up aging? Most people know the usual suspects, like too much sun, poor diet, lack of exercise, smoking, alcohol, and of course, stress. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. And yes, we're going to mention those things in this episode, but we're also going to look at a lot of other factors that may surprise or enlighten you. Now, if you haven't been, or if you've been doing your best to eat right, stay active, and avoid bad habits, and you still feel like you're aging faster than you should, there might be deeper reasons at play. And that's kind of what we're going to look into. Like I just alluded to, we're going beyond the obvious in this episode. We're going to dive into the hidden culprits behind accelerated aging. These are the things happening under the surface that many doctors don't fully explain or explain clearly, but that science and research are now uncovering. And I'm talking about cellular wear and tear, DNA damage, mitochondrial slowdowns, inflammation, loneliness, and more. Okay? But not to worry. I'm going to present all of it in a plain, easy to understand English. Because, the way I see it is, if you can understand what's speeding up the clock, you can finally start to slow it down. Hopefully these next two episodes, this episode and the following one, will help all of us slow it down, including me. I've got these jowls that bother me and stuff. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I haven't shaved in a few days. It's not that I'm growing a beard, and I'm not boycotting razors. I'm just out, and I haven't gotten around to getting any. So, but anyways, yeah, we want to try to help everybody slow that clock down, Okay, so first off, let's get back to some basic high school biology for a minute and talk about telomeres. These are your body's biological clock. These are tiny protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes. You can think of them kind of like the plastic tips on your shoelaces. They keep your DNA from unraveling, just like the little plastic tips on your shoelaces keep those from unraveling. Now, every time your cells divide, and cells do divide all the time, your telomeres get a little bit shorter. Now, when they get too short, the cell can't divide anymore, so it either goes to sleep or it dies. This shortening is absolutely normal, but things like chronic stress, poor sleep, inflammation, and environmental toxins can speed that process up. And here's the kicker. Shorter telomeres are linked to earlier signs of aging, more disease, and even shorter lifespans. So, if you've ever felt like your body is aging faster than your years, it could be because your telomeres are wearing down quicker than they should. But not to worry, because like I said, in part 2 next week, we're going to talk about how to protect them. So you're definitely going to want to be sure not to miss part 2 and come back for that next week. Okay? Okay, next, let's talk about mitochondrial dysfunction, or in other words, your energy crisis. Mitochondria is often called the powerhouses of your cells. These little guys are like little batteries that are responsible for producing the energy that your body needs to move, to think, to digest food, to basically do everything that you do. But as we age, mitochondria do start to break down. They become less efficient and produce more waste byproducts like free radicals that damage your cells over time. It's comparable to running your car engine without an oil change. Eventually, if you were to do that, your car is going to start to sputter, it's going to start stalling, and it's going to overheat, and eventually it's just going to break down. Now, this breakdown leads to fatigue, brain fog, weakened muscles, and even inflammation. In fact, researchers now believe that mitochondrial dysfunction plays a major role in conditions like Alzheimer's, heart disease, and accelerated aging. In other words, when your mitochondria are in trouble, your whole body feels older. But again, there are natural ways to support your mitochondria. We'll get into those in part 2. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about epigenetic changes. This is something I personally find fascinating. It's not just your DNA that matters, but also how your DNA behaves. Now that, when I researched this, that one kind of blew me out of the water. I just figured your DNA is your DNA and it does what it does. Apparently, as we get older, our epigenetics, and again, that's the system that tells your genes when to switch on or off, can get out of balance. You can kind of think of that like a light switch. Like some lights stay on way too long, others never even get turned on, and the wiring eventually gets faulty. So these epigenetic alterations are influenced by lifestyle, environment, and even trauma. They affect everything from inflammation to how quickly your skin sags or your memory fades. The good news is epigenetic changes are reversible. Now let me repeat that. Epigenetic changes are reversible. So that's great news. You're not stuck with the aging code that you were born with. The food you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and even how you manage stress and social connection, all of these things can help you flip the right genetic switches back on. Another culprit to rapid aging is DNA damage, or put another way, your genetic blueprint being under attack. Pardon me. Every cell in your body carries a blueprint, and that blueprint is your DNA. Okay? Over time, that blueprint can get damaged by things like radiation, chemicals, oxidative stress, and even normal wear and tear from cell division. Now, your body does have repair mechanisms, but as you age, those repair mechanisms get less efficient. And when damaged DNA starts to build up, it can lead to mutations, faulty cell behavior, and in some cases, disease. Think of it like a house that's been standing for years, where the original blueprint was solid, but over time, parts of the wiring and the plumbing have become patched, worn out, or even altered. Eventually, cracks start to show, and things don't work quite like they used to. And here's the kicker. DNA damage is not always visible. You might feel fine on the outside, but inside your cells, the wear and tear is slowly adding up, and that's not a good thing. So again, we're going to look at what you can do to protect and support your DNA, including some surprising lifestyle changes that can make a big difference in part 2 next week. Okay, now here's another culprit that causes rapid aging: chronic inflammation, aka the silent fire of aging. Let's talk about something sneaky: chronic inflammation, also known as inflammaging. This isn't the kind of inflammation you get from, say, a twisted ankle or a bee sting. This is low-grade, long-term inflammation that smolders inside your body. Often, this happens without obvious symptoms, and this too silently accelerates aging. Over time, this ongoing inflammation damages healthy tissue, interferes with your immune system, triggers joint pain, stiffness, and fatigue, and it increases your risk for diseases like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and even Alzheimer's. Aging itself tends to create more inflammation, and inflammation speeds up aging in return. And that's just a vicious cycle. There's no getting around that one. But you can fight back somewhat. And again, in part 2, we're going to talk about anti-inflammatory foods, natural remedies, and spiritual tools that can help cool that inner fire. Now, when you calm inflammation, you don't just feel better, you age better too. And that's just the short of it. Here's something else that may surprise you. This one surprised me too, actually. Loneliness and social isolation. This is what I personally, once I found out about this when I was researching this is something that I call a hidden ager. Who would have thought? Okay. And from what I read and everything, one of the most overlooked factors that speeds up aging, especially after the age of 55, is loneliness and social isolation. Now, you can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely, or you can live alone and feel perfectly content. But when someone is truly isolated with little meaningful connection, it takes a toll on both the mind and on the body. Studies have even shown that chronic loneliness can raise your risk of heart disease and stroke and dementia. It can weaken your immune system. It can increase stress hormones, and it can even lead to an earlier death. In fact, get this, some researchers say it's as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes every day. Can you imagine that? Now, we were created for connection. We were created to laugh, to share stories, to pray together, and just know we matter to somebody. And speaking of mattering to somebody, I want to draw your attention to the story of Kevin Hines. If you haven't seen episode 9, I would strongly encourage you to watch it. In that episode, I told the story of Kevin Hines, and it dovetails perfectly with loneliness and social isolation. Essentially, it's a story about a guy who just thought nobody cared or whatever, and he wound up trying. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I'd rather you watch it on the episode. But this guy, when he was 19, I think, he was a young man, was going to end it all. And somebody later on, spoiler alert, he didn't do it, but he tried. And later on, people asked him, what could somebody have said that would have changed it? And essentially his answer was, if somebody had said anything, it would have made me see that somebody cares and I'm not alone. So anyways, it's a very powerful story, and I encourage you to watch that episode and get the story out of that episode. All right, getting back to business here. If you are feeling alone, I want you to know this channel is a place of connection. You're not just a viewer, you're part of a growing community, and I'll be sharing more ways to get involved very, very soon. Another culprit promoting rapid aging is, you guessed it, poor diet. Let's go beyond the obvious for a minute. We all know that processed junk food isn't great for us. I mean, I think everybody would know that. Just a little side note there. There was a time a long time ago, I don't know, a lot of you probably remember. I laugh when I think back on this, on how stupid I was. There was a promotion that McDonald's was running, and it was for, there was for a Monopoly game. And if you got all the Monopoly pieces or whatever, I forget exactly how it went, but I know that you could have won like $1 million or something like that. So stupid me. I kept going to McDonald's because when you got like a large fry, they gave you two of those tickets, and a lot, those were the things that you put on the Monopoly board that you got from McDonald's, and it was a paper. It was like an old-fashioned paper map kind of thing where it folded up, but you would stick these stickers onto, and it was like printed out like a Monopoly board, and you would stick these stickers on all the Park Place and Broadway and whatever else was on there. I forget now, Mediterranean Avenue and all that. Anyhow, you would get like two stickers for a large fry. You would get two stickers for a Big Mac. You would get two stickers for a large drink. So I started going to McDonald's with, in my brilliance, thinking I'm going to win this $1 million. And I mean, I went to McDonald's almost every day for like probably at least a month, if not two. And again, this was a long time ago, but it was one of the stupider things I've done in life. That's one of the good things about getting older. You get wise when you see all the stupid stuff you did when you were younger. But hopefully, this is getting a laugh out of some of you. Anyhow, I went to this McDonald's or any McDonald's for that matter that was running the promotion during that time. And they used to run it in the summer. They did it for a couple of years. And just as a side note, in the end, a year or two after it was over, they found out that the whole thing was rigged, but that's for neither here nor there right now. Anyways, I went to the McDonald's for like, 2 months. It was at least a month. I don't know if it was two, but it was probably closer to 2 months. And I ate lunch there like every day, and I'd have like a Big Mac and all kinds of crap, or two cheeseburgers and large fry and all this stuff, just so I could get the tickets. I wound up gaining like about 30 pounds. I'm not kidding you. I bloated up like you wouldn't believe. It took me like a couple. Luckily, I was a lot younger, so I lost the weight fairly quickly afterwards. But it was just funny. My wife at the time, she's my ex-wife now, but she was like, "Why do you keep doing that? You're not going to win." And I was like, "Yes, I am. Watch, And she was right, and I was wrong. But anyhow, to me, it's just, I don't know why I just thought of that, but I did because of the junk food picture I think that I'm seeing. Anyways, so getting back to the seriousness now, we all know that processed junk food is not good for us. And the truth is, even diets that seem okay can quietly accelerate aging if they're lacking in the right nutrients. So what I mean by that is too much sugar can cause something called glycation, where sugar molecules attach themselves to proteins like collagen and elastin. Now, collagen and elastin are the things that keep your skin firm and flexible. Like I wouldn't probably have these gels had I not gone to McDonald's so much. No, I don't know. But they keep your skin firm and flexible. Now, too much sugar is definitely a recipe for wrinkles and sagging, okay? Refined carbs is another thing, like white bread, pasta, and pastries. These things will spike your blood sugar, they'll trigger inflammation, and they drain your energy. Sugar's supposed to give you a boost, like, sodas that have sugar in them, or coffee or whatever. Although coffee, I guess, is more caffeine. But I know a lot of people will, like, grab a candy bar for a boost or something, or a soda for a boost, and actually sugar drains your energy. A lot of people don't know that. I'm sure most of you know that, but I'm just saying. Okay, anyways, another one is lack of antioxidants. And these are the things that are found in colorful fruits and vegetables. And a lack of antioxidants makes it harder for your body. Oh, well, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Makes it harder for your body to fight off oxidative stress, which ages your cells from the inside out. Missing key nutrients like magnesium, omega-3s, B vitamins, and vitamin D can slow down brain function, it can weaken bones, and it can increase fatigue. So even if you're not eating fast food every day, if you're not getting enough real nourishment, your body starts to show the wear and tear. If you are eating good foods every day, I should say, and you're not eating fast food, you can still, show, your body can still show signs of wear and tear. Pardon me. The good news is that every meal is a chance to give your body the fuel it needs to heal, to renew, and to stay youthful longer. So yes, what you eat certainly does matter, okay? But no matter how carefully we try to manage our health, the bottom line is that aging is still part of the journey that we are all on. Like my dad used to tell me when I was growing up, no one gets out of here alive, you know? So we make the best of it and do the best we can while we're here. It's not a long journey after all. I mean, when you're younger, you think you're immortal, life goes on forever. And the older you get, you realize what a foolish, pipe dream that is, because it is a short, it seems like only yesterday I was getting my driver's license, and it's been it's been many, many decades since I got my driver's license. All right, so I know that can feel discouraging at times, especially when you're doing everything right and you still feel the weight of the years. But that's why I always like to close these episodes with something a little bit deeper than just tips and advice. Because you and I are more than just bodies. We are souls walking through a set amount of time that each of us has. And, I refer to the Bible, and in 2 Corinthians 4:16, and again, all my Bible readings come from the King James Version, and I do have my Bible right here, but it's a little easier to read it on the screen, which is what I am going to do. The Apostle Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16, and if you feel like grabbing your Bible and pausing this and reading along with us, by all means, please do. But again, in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16, the verse reads, and again, from the King James Version, but the verse reads, "For which cause we faint not, but though our outward path, or our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." Now, that verse, is, to me anyways, is like a cool drink of water on a hot day. Because yes, the mirror may reflect more wrinkles, more gray hair, or less hair in my case. It's gray and it's less. More wrinkles or gray hair than it used to. But inside, our spirit, our purpose, our joy can still grow stronger with each passing day. You aren't defined by what's fading. You are being renewed, and the Bible assures us of that. We just read that. Okay? So take heart, leave your joy, or, let your joy grow deeper than your laugh lines. Let your wisdom outweigh your weariness, and let your hope shine through no matter what the calendar says. Okay? So, stay encouraged and come back for part 2 next week, because like I said, we're going to talk about remedies and how we can slow the clock down. This episode was about, what's causing the clock to go faster. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode. Now, if today's episode gave you something to think about or even laugh about, like my McDonald's story, or encouraged you in any way, go ahead and like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And be sure to turn on the notification bell, because part 2 of this mini-series is coming next week. Okay? And also, we're going to be covering natural remedies, smart lifestyle choices, and everyday ways to slow the aging process naturally and affordably. And again, a lot of this stuff you probably already have in your kitchen that we're going to talk about next week. Excuse me. Okay, and just a quick reminder, as our Life After 55 community grows or keeps growing, we're getting closer to launching our members-only content, including 2 exclusive videos each month on natural healing, a monthly newsletter with holistic tips and spiritual encouragement. And I am also going to throw in a healthy recipe every month, and a special series called Road Trip with Roy. And that's where I'm going to take you with me, virtually, of course, to inspiring places like I mentioned before. There's the Wright Brothers Memorial, which is a couple hours from where I am. There's the Biltmore Estate. That's on the other side of the state. So that's more like a 4 or 5 hour venture one way. And then we have the Nag's Head Lighthouse. That's a few hours away too. And more. And like I said earlier, I'd be open for suggestions if there's a place anywhere in the Carolinas or in Virginia or even Tennessee, even down into Georgia or whatever that you would like to see. We can mull it over and go for it. And again, this is to give you, especially if you're a shut-in or something, this is to give you, a video that you can watch and you can travel with me. And even though you can't be there physically, you can at least see it and experience it through my eyes or whatever, So that's the idea behind it. And hopefully it'll resonate with people. We'll see what happens. But once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we're going to launch all of that on our new website, and I'd love for each and every one of you to be part of it from the very beginning. So let's keep the momentum going and continue building something beautiful together, okay? Please share this channel with someone who could use a little encouragement or prayer or whatever this week. And just a quick reminder, if you have a prayer request, you can share it in the comments below, or you can email me privately. If it's something you don't want the world to know about, you can email me privately at lifeafter55channel@gmail.com. And I want you to know that I do read every message and I do pray for you. Even, all the ones I've gotten so far, I am praying for you, and you know who you are. But I just want to encourage anybody else who has an issue or whatever and needs prayer or whatever, please feel free to share that with me. All right. So that's going to do it. So thank you again for spending this time with me today. It means a whole heck of a lot to me. It really does. And I really do appreciate you being here. Again, I am Roy, and Lord willing, I'll see you in the next episode, the next video, part 2 next week. Right here on Life After 55, where we talk about healing, hope, and holding on to joy one day at a time. Okay? Take care, each and every one of you, and God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye till next week.